This shit more than a game.
Perfect. Perfect.
Far be it from me to ever sound hyperbolic, but I've watched the beginning of the NFL scouting combine this week, and make no mistake about it, this 2025 NFL draft is going to be very, very critical to the New Orleans Saints going forward, and especially Kellen Moore's coaching career. We all remember in 2006 when Sean Payne came in and him and Drew Brees turned our franchise upside down, and one of the best runs we've had as a fan base and as a franchise ever. Hopefully never for history, but definitely in our lifetime so far, the greatest Saints run ever. And it didn't just start with Sean Payne and Drew Brees. Just it was great to have a great coach and a Hall of Fame quarterback. But if you remember that 2006 New Orleans Saints draft, no, it was not just one Reggie Bush who set the world and the city on fire when we were able to grab him with the number 2 pick. But let me say some of the names that we drafted in that 2006 New Orleans Saints draft. Roman Harper, Jory Evans, possible and should be Hall of Fame player. Rob Ninkovich. Now, Rob Ninkovich wound up having a much better career in New England than New Orleans, but still a great player. Zach Strief and Marcus Colston. It was arguably our greatest draft class since 2017 came and knocked them off their pedestal a little bit when we got Kamara and Lattimore and Marcus Williams and Trey Hendrickson and all those guys. But it is critical, absolutely critical, for Kellen Moore to start off his coaching career correctly by having, with the number 9 pick in the draft this year, a great draft in 2025. I am not trying to be hyperbolic. I am not trying to say this is the be-all, end-all. But for us to have long-term success, and it might not be even short-term success, even though that would be nice, but for us to have long-term success, we have the number 9 pick, you guys, in the 2025 NFL draft. Kellen Moore and company have got to have a great draft. Does it have to be as legendary as the 2006 Saints draft or the 2017 Saints draft? No, it would be nice and we would take it. But they have got to hit on a few picks. We have got to add to our young offensive and defensive arsenal. We have got to stockpile, to be honest, young talent so that in 2026 and in 2027 and 2028, the New Orleans Saints are contenders again. It starts with the NFL draft in April 2025 with us being the number 9 pick. I do not want to sound hyperbolic, but I'm going to sound hyperbolic. It is absolutely vital for Kellen Moore to get this draft right to start off his New Orleans Saints career. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the John O'Barnes Show, where this shit more than a stream.
This shit more than a game. We ain't playing no fear. We fans born kinda wild, fire in our hearts revealed. Yeah, we shout and we cheer, our passion loud and clear. Together we rise, this love no compromise. Holler at the screen, repping our dream team. From the sidelines we scream, living in this fan's dream. Yeah, we shout and we cheer, our passion loud and clear. Together we rise, this love no compromise.
This shit more than a game.
And I am very, very appreciative for each and every one of you guys who have joined the show tonight, especially because we are officially in deep Gras, if that's what you want to call it. I know there's a big old back and forth on is deep Gras Dane and how silly of a term or not silly of a term it is. But hey, it is officially 1 week into Mardi Gras. The parades are already rolling uptown right now. So I appreciate each and every single one of you guys who chose to have your Tuesday night here on the John O'Bones Show. You could be anywhere else in the world, especially at Deep Gras and Mardi Gras, but you're here on the John O'Bones Show, and I wanted to reward you guys with that. So before we start the show, y'all know we got to get the vibes right. The way Mickey Loomis always says, we need good vibes in New Orleans and on Airline Drive. So leave a this shit more than the game in the chat tonight. And this is absolutely a this shit more than the game certified show tonight because, folks, I'm not going to even hold y'all long for this. I know the reason y'all tuning tonight. It's not to hear John O'Bones blab his mouth. Y'all want the real star. Probably and arguably the biggest Saints podcaster on YouTube right now. Check the numbers, folks. I ain't making it up. I ain't being hyperbolic. Check the numbers. This man is arguably the biggest Saints YouTuber right now in the game. I am not going to give, because I'm just not obligated to give this man an introduction. But actually, you know what? Legally, I am obligated to give him an introduction. So let me tell y'all a little bit about my next upcoming guest. He is the chief editor at Gumbo Pie Sports. He is a correspondent, and he holds it down for the New Orleans Saints of the NFC South Roundtable. He is a member of the National Association of Black Journalists. He is an analyst for the University of Coastal Carolina football, and you all know him very, very well as the host of the State of the Saints podcast, which is now featured, you folks. It is now featured on Bleacher Report. That's big. That is absolutely huge. And he is also, by the way, most importantly, very, very popular amongst the Falcons fans. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only TJay Jones.
Hey, man, I had to look and be like, man, who he talking about?
Hey, man, your resume is like a CVS laundry list when I was putting it together. I say, man, that man TJay is doing the damn thing, my guy.
Man. Hey, Jono, I appreciate the opportunity to be here, man. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Hey, man, we appreciate you. Like I said, if you check the numbers, you are arguably the biggest Saints YouTuber right now, and your audience and your commitment to the craft is absolutely awe-inspiring for content creators like me. So I'm appreciative that you have taken time out your busy schedule to come on my little small YouTube platform to chop it up.
Get out of here, man.
No, I'm serious. I am serious, bro. We both are in that, unique spot of this niche content creation day, and I always look at what you're doing, man, and I'm like, that man TJay is doing it. I hope to get to your level one day, truly.
Man, I'm waiting for that John O'Bones Mardi Gras float to come through. That's what I'm saying. It's coming.
Hey, fingers crossed. Hey. But tonight, my guy, you are the centerpiece of the Mardi Gras float here on the John O'Bones Show. And I'm going to start off with the question that I think is on every Saints fan's mind. You, of course, one of the reasons, TJay, why you have such a big platform is you don't hold back. You stay true to yourself, and I absolutely admire that. And I know you're going to stay true to this topic because you've been very passionate about it for the past 2 years, to be honest. But what should the New Orleans Saints do with Derek Carr? I've seen arguments saying you might as well just keep him and let this cap space die down a little bit, and then in 2026 you let him go. Some saying you bite the bullet right now and just get rid of him and deal with the consequences now so that in 2027, 2028, you are already done with that Derek Carr's cloud over your head. What do you think the Saints should do, TJay, with Derek Carr?
I think they need to move on from him. I think that you look at some of these other teams that have had quarterbacks that demanded the majority of the cap, like the Denver Broncos, the Jets most recently with Aaron Rodgers. They moved on from him because they believe in the coach that they hired, and also they have given that coach the opportunity to do what they feel is necessary in order to change the misfortunes of the team. Look, I mean, Derek Carr, he is what he is. And I've said this on several occasions, Jono. He is what he is. He's going to be a quarterback that is going to put you in a position to win, but he's not going to be the reason that you win consistently. Right. And I just think if you don't have a quarterback that you can consistently win with, you might as well just go ahead and cut your losses. I think this is one of those situations with Kellen Moore. The New Orleans Saints are going to be patient. So there's no need for them to keep Derek Carr around. I mean, Derek Carr, what is he going to do? Give you, maybe 7 or 8 games or something like that of a win, but you're still going to be on the outside looking in. So I'm not in that number when it comes to just saving money or just don't want to cut my losses because he demands the majority of the cap. You should allow Derek Carr to move on and find a team that can help him build on his career, and you need to find a quarterback that is going to be the successor in the future of your franchise. I think both parties just need to split amicably.
Now, I'm not opposed to that because I am in agreement with you. Like Derek Carr is who he is. He's not changing. And what is this now? Year 14 of him? Maybe I'm aging him way too much, but I mean, he is what he is. If we do let him go, what do you do at quarterback? Do you give Spencer Rattler 1 year to say wow us? Do you draft a quarterback? Do you sign maybe another veteran for quote unquote cheap in free agency? What would you do with Derek Carr possibly being off the team?
Well, I would give Spencer Rattler an opportunity. You know, number one, I don't think that people really got a full evaluation of what Spencer Rattler could be. We all know the situation that happened last year with all the injuries on the offensive side of the football, offensive line, wide receivers, etc. So I don't think you got a full sample size of what this guy can actually be. So with that, I feel like I don't want to say you owe it to him, but you owe it to your organization to see. It'll be the worst thing in the world for you to cut your losses from Spencer Rattler and he goes somewhere else and he balls out. Then you look ridiculous. It's kind of be a reoccurring thing. We've seen this with, CJ Gardner-Johnson. We've seen it with Zach Bond. We see it with Trey Hendrickson. So you don't want to add Spencer Rattler to that. I don't think that you just need to give him the keys to the car, right now. I think that you need to allow him to compete. If he wins out against a veteran that you can bring in, then he's the starter. But if he goes out there and he can't beat out that veteran quarterback, you should let that veteran go and start. And you have what you already need to know, which is, that maybe you need to go and get yourself a quarterback. But It's really up to Kellen Moore, Jono. It's really up to Kellen Moore. And, he doesn't have a commitment to Spencer Rattler. I mean, he's a new coach and he can run this team the way that he wants. So if he wants to go out and find his own quarterback, is well within his rights. But I believe in Spencer Rattler. I think that, they should see what he can do.
You mentioned about former players leaving us and going to ascend elsewhere. And one person who I could count on Twitter always letting the Saints know whenever Zach Bond made a sack or whenever Trey Hendrickson made a big tackle, I'm waiting for the TJay tweet to say the Saints had them. We had these guys in our building.
I'm sick every time I see Trey Hendrickson make a play. When the Saints signed Darren Sproles a couple of years ago, Jono, Phillip Rivers always would tweet and say, man, it just makes me absolutely sick to watch Darren Sproles make plays. It makes me literally sick. I can't even get through a full Cincinnati Bengals game sometime because how dominant Trey Hendrickson is. And this guy gave you 13 and a half sacks on the way out the door. I mean, you should have locked him up. I mean, it's unbelievable, man. I literally get sick to my stomach watching that guy play football.
I can hear it in your
respectfully.
I can hear it in your voice right now. I can hear it in your voice right now. I want to give my guy Bruce Saints round of applause for the $20 super chat. He says, "I got the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Hell yeah, this shit more than the game." TJay, I don't know if you see the chat maybe to your side on it, but you are a very, very popular man among Saints YouTubers. And I hope you feel that love, TJay, because, me and you follow each other on Twitter, and Twitter is kind of where, and we'll get to that actual little bit in interview. Things can get a little crazy. It's a very, everybody's a little bit more brave when they have anonymity. That's not even a word, but you know what I mean. They can be anonymous behind a phone screen. But I hope you do know, and I say this in the intro, and I hope you realize, what you have done with your YouTube platform, man. It inspires me, right? Because I have a big audience on Twitter, but I'm always trying to see how can I make that audience, carry over to YouTube the way you have built up this YouTube audience. So I just want to give you flowers in the middle of this interview and say you're doing the damn thing, my guy. And the chat proves how much of a fan base you have here on the YouTube community for the Who Dat Nation.
Man, I just appreciate them, man. I mean, without them, I wouldn't have a show. It's a bunch of people that just believe, in somebody like me. Jono, I come from the Ninth Ward, man. Born and raised, product of Lorraine Hansberry's, Charles J. Colton, Carver High School. You know what I'm saying?
You're true to this. Go ahead,
man. For real, man. I tell people I'm about as New Orleans as a high sergeant on French and a bus ticket. You know what I'm saying? So
sounds good.
Look, but man, all the love and support that people show to me, man, I'm just blessed, man. I'm just blessed to be in a position, and I just appreciate the people that make the State of the Saints what it is. There would be no TJ Jones without the people that support this show and people like yourself, that motivate me. I mean, don't think that you don't motivate me. You do. And I appreciate it, man.
Or what? We're using my wife's credit card to go to road trips. I think that's what you get motivated by. Huh? Like, how can I?
I don't know how you do it, but look, without being
I don't
seriously
know.
injured, you know.
I don't know how you, TJ. You be doing like streams sometimes. I catch you doing it at 12 p.m., 1 p.m. Over 100, 2 people, 100 in your chat. I'm like, damn, this guy has an audience, man. That these people who are probably at work right now, like, tune in whenever they get that notification that TJ is live. Hey, man, that is impressive. Trust me. So props and all of the flowers to you. You giving your flowers already on social media and on your show to the Kellen Moore High. I know you're very excited about it. But tell us how about after 2 weeks after the official announcement of him being our head coach and now his new coaching staff, which is a lot of young bucks. I'm sure you've seen the news. Seems like every day we're hiring like a college guy to come in and fill out this staff. How do you feel about the Kellen Moore High and how do you feel about his coaching staff so far?
Well, I like the fact that the Saints aren't doing things like they usually would do. You know, they're stepping outside of the box. It's not familiar territory, which can be a little scary to some Saints fans, but it's exciting to others. You know, I always say, you know, you never know what you're capable of if you stay within that comfort zone. Sometimes you got to step outside of that. Look, this isn't a knock on Sean Payton or what he built, but it was a moment in time. It's just like anything in life, right? I mean, we have those moments and we appreciate them and we cherish those moments. But, you know, all things and all good things must come to an end. And I just think that the Saints tried to hold on to the Sean Paytonisms, as I like to call them, John O.
I love it.
A little bit too long, man. And I think that this is a turning of the page. I don't know if Kellen Moore is going to work out. I don't know if he's going to end up falling flat on his face or end up being the next Sean McVay. But I appreciate the New Orleans Saints for trying something new. And I like Kellen Moore. I think he's a smart football coach. You know, he's very knowledgeable. And I like the fact that he's bringing in guys that are teachers. You know, like Doug Nussmeier is a teacher. You know, Brandon Staley, defensive coordinator, he has been known as being a teacher. And then you added Terry Joseph, who came over from the University of Texas when he was their assistant and secondaries coach. He's definitely a teacher. And this is what's going to get them out of this situation, John O. The fact that, you know, you got guys that can actually develop players. If you're going to get yourself out of this cap situation, you got to draft well and you got to be able to develop this talent. So they got the right guys that have a reputation for developing talent. But only time will tell what type of coach Kellen Moore would be, but I like the hire so far.
And I just said in my opening rant about how vital I really feel like this draft is coming up. I don't think it needs to be, you know, I mean, it would be great if it is 2006, 2017 level of greatness, but he's got to hit on, I want to say, TJ, tell me if I'm being hyperbolic, 3 to 4 players at least, you know, just so for us to have some hope and optimism for the future, right? It's not just about 2025, but like, okay, how are we going to look in 2026 and 2027, which these are the years where, okay, no more, you know, training wheels, kind of more like, are you the guy or not? Like, are you leading us to somewhere of hope and prominence and contention, or is this just another failed relationship like the Dennis Allen thing? So I think, tell me if I'm wrong, we need to, this is a very critical draft, correct? Maybe one of the more critical drafts in our history.
Man, I think this is one of the most important off seasons in recent history. Like, we got to go back, Jono, to like 05, you know, like after Katrina, you know, that 06 season, you know, like it's like it is that important to me. You know, like this is the defining moment right here, man. You have a lot of draft picks. You have 2 third-round picks. You got a second-round pick and a first-round, man. You got to be able to hit. Like the scouting staff of the New Orleans Saints have got to make sure that they're doing their due diligence. But now they have a coach and they have a defensive coordinator. They know what type of players that they need to draft. And it might look a little different than what we're used to seeing. You know, Brandon Staley runs a completely different defense. And we finally will be able to get some defensive players that maybe be able to sack take down a mobile quarterback, for God's sakes. My goodness, man, how long has it been since that can happen consistently? But yeah, man, I'm excited for this draft process. NFL Combine going on right now, man. So there's a lot of talent out there in Indianapolis that's going to be showcased. So, and a lot of talent that the Saints can get their hands on.
And I don't want to put you on the spot because obviously, like you say, this Combine really starts picking up tomorrow. And you're going to have more time, like I know you will, to like study and see some of these measurables and numbers from these players. But as of February 2025, who, TJ, is your favorite right now for the number 9 pick as of today. I mean, you might, and I know that you might change your mind. You might see a workout tomorrow or Thursday and be like, yo, this is actually, I flipped my pick. But as of February 25th, 2025, who would you target right now with that number 9 pick for the New Orleans Saints?
I don't know if he's going to be available, but I would say Mason Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. Look, you running a 3-4 defense. If you're going to have a successful 3-4 defense, and I mentioned this on the State of the Saints, you got to have a dominant nose, man. And this guy, to me, is a generational talent. Like, it would not surprise me if this guy gets drafted in the next 5 to 6 years. We're talking about one of the best defensive tackles of his generation. He has that type of motor. He has a different level of intensity. Like he never stops, never quits on plays. And I have an appreciation of just watching this guy. Like I've been watching Mason Graham like film over the last 2 weeks. I mean, games where Michigan still, they're out of the game. He's still out there, man, sideline to sidelines, not giving up on plays, being a disruptor. So Mason Graham would be my first pick, man. Like, but I don't think he's going to be available. But if he's there at 9, I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, Mason Graham would be my pick.
If we were to go offense and go skill player, I know a lot of fans like Tyler Warren. I know a lot of fans like Genty. I know a lot of fans like McMillan. Of those 3, I imagine those are like the top 3 that will fall in that 9 range. Do you love any of them, or is there one that stands out to you amongst those 3 that you would say, hey, that would be good for Kellen Moore to have in this offense?
I would say McMillan. I think that McMillan would be a really good pick. He's 6'4", 6'5", 215, 220 pounds. And I think that it will make the Saints wide receiver room even more dominant. I just think that when it comes to Olave and Shaheed, they're both talented, but they're more smaller, athletic guys. The Saints have been missing that big body wide receiver since Michael Thomas went down. And I just think that if you bring in a guy like McMillan that would demand a double team, Shaheed and Olave will be able to eat, and you will have a very, very high potent offense because, that you have a dominant wide receiver. So McMillan would be my first choice, but Tyler Warren out of Penn State, the tight end, that wouldn't be a bad pick either. But I like he has really good skills. He's a really good blocker, and also, man, he's a really good player when it comes to situational third downs. He can be that utility guy, especially if you go with Spencer Rattler as the quarterback. I mean, when he was out there, man, he utilized Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau quite often. So McMillan would be my first, but Tyler Warren would probably be my second. But I don't think you can go wrong with either guy.
I noticed you didn't mention Genty. Last week I had the great John Hendricks on the show, and he said he actually would target Genty at number 9. I disagree because I just don't think right now we're in a state of our franchise, and I could be wrong, by the way, no pun intended, to draft a running back when we aren't close to contention. Like, I get it. When there's a great running back, it's tempting, especially like someone like Bijan Robinson with Atlanta. But that's now 2 years of wear and tear on his body, and they have no playoffs to show for it. Unless Genty is like a Barry Sanders-like player, that, oh, wow, one of the greatest running backs of all time, I don't think I'm comfortable with taking him at number 9. I would cheer for him. He's a hell of a player. But I noticed you didn't mention him in those 3 options I gave you. How would you feel if he winds up being a pick?
I wouldn't be mad at it, but I just think that a lot of people are kind of dismissing Alvin Kamara. Like, Alvin Kamara is still just as talented as he always has been. I don't think that you can look at this season and just say, oh, something wrong with Alvin. Like, if you look at the beginning of the season, those first 2 games, and when everybody was pretty much upright, I mean, Alvin was dominant. And I just think that if you fix this offensive line and, you get yourself another wide receiver, I think that Alvin Kamara can be that guy. Like, I think he can be in a conversation for Offensive Player of the Year. I think that he can be that Saquon Barkley for the New Orleans Saints. And I just think with Ashton Genty, it's almost like you're basically just kind of conceding that Alvin Kamara is just on borrowed time. Like, everything that Ashton Genty can offer the New Orleans Saints, Alvin can offer the New Orleans Saints. And then it's not like, this is one of those situations where you're concerned about Alvin's age or anything like that. I mean, Alvin has always just been consistent. So I just think that Ashton Genty would kind of just be a luxury a little bit. I mean, I guess you can look at it like how Jahmyr Gibbs was with the Detroit Lions when they had David Montgomery.
Yep.
And, he was a really good complimentary guy. But when you look at the running styles, it's completely different. Ashton Genty, to me, has the same type of similarities and skill sets of Alvin. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, run in between the tackles. So, to me, I don't understand why you would want to, have a ninth pick on him. I mean, if he's there and you feel like he can bring something to the table, fine. But I'm still high on Alvin Kamara, man.
I am too. Look, if he's the pick, then me, we're all going to embrace him. I'm going to love the hell out of him. He's going to have a very popular jersey. You mentioned Jahmyr Gibbs. I think that's the counterpoint that a lot of people are going to use if we draft a running back. But my argument to that would be where the Lions were already kind of in, win now more at that point when they drafted Gibbs, right? Like they were able to have a luxury play because they're like, okay, we just need like some playmakers to get us over this hump. The Saints, I hope I'm wrong. Maybe we do a 2006 like turnaround. We're not in that window of we are two luxury players away from getting past Washington, getting past Philadelphia, getting past any of these teams. So I agree with you, damn near 100%. John made a good case last week for Genty, but I'm just of the opinion we can get a running back, a young running back, maybe a year or two from now when we really are like in a much better spot. As okay, we know how close we are to opening up this potential Super Bowl window again. So I absolutely agree with you on that. Here's something I don't always agree with you on. You have a lot of strong takes on social media, TJay, that one, I appreciate that you're never afraid to put yourself out there because you've been racial. And hey, like me, I got racial before. Once you get racial, like the third time, you get used to it, right? Like you get used to people calling you a dumbass, saying all this stuff. One at the top of my head that from last season that everybody was all on you about was you constantly make the argument about Jameis Winston should have still been a quarterback for the past few years. And you acknowledge that, no, I'm not saying Jameis Winston would have had us as a playoff team, but you could have had him cheaper than Derek Carr. The record probably would have been the same, and it would have been a lot more fun. But, of course, it's Twitter, right? So, of course, a lot of engagement came with that.
Right.
Do you have a hot take for the Saints, TJay, right now that you can maybe give exclusively to the John Bone Show? You're going to hold back on that later in the offseason? Is there anything? I mean, maybe there's a player that should be cut that you're like, I know this is a popular player, but he's got to go. Is there a free agent acquisition that's available that you're like, hey, the Saints need to pony up for that player? Do you have any hot takes right now?
Man, I honestly, like, here's the thing, Jono. Like, when I'm speaking, I don't really look at it like it'd be a hot take. Like, I honestly put a lot of thought into the things that I say. And I think a lot of people just think that I'm basically just spitballing. But even that Jameis Winston idea, I mean, that I came up with. I mean, if you're not going to make the playoffs with a guy that you gave $150 million to, $100 million guaranteed, like you might as well keep the guy that was cheaper than that. At least we would have had some excitement at the end of the day. Like Jameis Winston was a likable guy. Like, I mean, you can't get somebody to buy a Derek Carr jersey right now. Like seriously. But as far as like a high take, I would say, look, this is the only thing I would say. Like, this isn't popular opinion, but I mentioned McMillan, as being a number 9 pick for the New Orleans Saints. And I'm saying that because I don't really look at Chris Olave as a number 1 receiver. I don't.
That's a hot take, okay, because there's a lot of Chris Olave believers out there.
Yeah.
Why do you not feel Chris Olave is a number 1 receiver?
Because when I look at a number 1 receiver, Jono, I look at a guy that everybody knows the ball is going to go to him, and it doesn't matter. Like, we know when Michael Thomas was in his prime, everybody knew he was going to get the football, but it did not matter. He found ways to get open. He wasn't the fastest guy in the world. He just basically got off the line of scrimmage with brute strength and was fundamentally sound. And everybody knew he was the number 1 guy. There are times where I look at Chris Olave and I even question, like, is he the best wide receiver on the team? Like, when in big time moments, who was Derek Carr looking for the most of the time? It was Rashid Shaheed. So all I'm saying is, I don't look at him as I look at him as a top shelf receiver. Like, he's number 1 by default. So I think as soon as like a dominant player like McMillan or maybe another wide receiver comes in with a number 1 mind frame, I think that Chris Olave will pretty much be content with being that 1-1-8. I don't look at him that way. I just think that a number 1 receiver should be wired a certain way. Like, when you look at him, you just know he's a number 1 receiver. Like, just as good as T. Higgins is for Cincinnati, you know Jamar Chase is the number one guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way that he carries himself, the way that Joe Burrow counts on him in crucial situations, and how he delivers. So that would be, I guess, if you want to call it a hot take, that would probably be it. I just think that the New Orleans Saints need a true number one, because I don't look at Chris Olave as being that number one guy.
And you see, that's the beauty, in my opinion, of YouTube and having your own podcast, is because you can have more nuanced discussion, right? Like if you were to put that take on Twitter and just put, man, the Saints need a wide receiver, Chris Olave is not a number one. That's all people are going to take it as. They're not going to hear your argument about, you think Olave is great, but he just doesn't excel as a number one. They're just going to say, oh, this man is dissing Chris Olave. Chris Olave had over 1,000 yards his first 2 seasons. Of course he's a number one, yada, yada, yada. But when they actually listen to your nuanced, discussion about these takes that you have, they would see that, oh, he's not like engagement form or anything. He has actual balance and civic discussion with his I call it hot takes, TJ. I know you don't, but a hot take is, my opinion, whatever.
But this is what I would say. I think a lot of people basically they formulate their viewpoints on emotion, especially Saints fans. Like, you can't tell me anything about a Saints fan. I've been a Saints fan my entire life. I think a lot of it comes from emotion. But if you ask yourself, like, just think about this. Name a game where you're like, Chris Olave just took over. I can think of maybe one game where I just looked at Chris Olave and he had like almost a dominant performance. And that was, they played against the Carolina Panthers. Jameis Winston was the quarterback. And I think he had maybe like 180 yards in that game or something like that. Like, other than that, what was that game? Like, I can think about that London game where, I want to say, who was it? I want to say Andy Dalton threw him a 30-yard pass to set up a Will Lutz field goal. Like, I want to say against Atlanta, the first game they played this season, he scored a go-ahead touchdown. But but I'm searching for it. Like, when I start thinking about, AJ Brown, or I'm thinking about even DK Metcalf, like you can think of like a handful of games in those guys' short shelf life as a NFL wide receiver that they dominated. And I haven't seen that from Chris Olave, man. It's a mind frame, Jono. So I know people, think emotionally sometimes because they look at these players and they hold them in such high regard, but you got to be realistic, man. That's not number one receiver type energy that he brings every single Sunday.
And I was just about to mention AJ Brown. I feel like that's what we do need. Like, you get a AJ Brown like receiver in the Saints receiving corps, shit, Olave numbers are going to be even better, right? Like, he might excel in that number 2 role. So now I hear you. I have a lot of faith and hope for Olave as well. I always kind of saw him in a Torrey Holt role, and then you still need that Isaac Bruce next to him, though, to really get the best out of both of those guys.
Right.
So hopefully, and maybe it's going to be McMillan. Maybe we'll get that in the draft this year. But I do see your point with that, even though, like I said, if you just put that on Twitter, like, Chris Olave is not a number one receiver, you'll be like, people are emotional. Hey, and that's good, because that's why this shit more than the game. Speaking of emotional, all right, TJ, we got to ask this question. Ooh, you had people emotional during this coach search, because you put out a tweet. Oh yeah, this shit more than the game show. I ain't gonna not come with the smoke. You have put out a tweet that had the city of New Orleans and the folks on airline and them Twitter streets popping. You reported from one of your sources that we had an actual strong chance of hiring Aaron Glenn, who was the presumable favorite for us to be our next head coach. However, from your reports and your source, you say that Glenn requested that the team consider moving on from Mickey Loomis. That's not a small thing to ask. That's pretty damn substantial. The Saints were not willing to make that change, according to sources. TJ, you can see the numbers below. Then there are 1 million views, 287 bookmarks, over 1,000 retweets, 4.4K likes, and a lot of comments of those 370 people calling you out, questioning your acumen, all that stuff that comes with being on social media. Here's the first question. I saw that report, and I had, I think, the same initial reaction as everybody, where, and I'm not asking you, because I saw people were like, oh, well, reveal your source. And I'm like, well, why the hell would he reveal his source? It's a source. Come on, people, let's be smart here. But I'm like, okay, well, let's say this is true. If Aaron Glenn wants Mickey Loomis to be gone, who is he asking for? Because technically, Mickey Loomis, we all assume it's like the guy. I know that's Dennis Lucia and Gail Benson are probably like the only two other people that I can see being above him that Aaron Glenn can go to. I'm not saying you got to get specific, but I guess that's what people want to know is, well, who Aaron Glenn go to if he wants Mickey Loomis going? He's not going to go to Mickey Loomis, I assume, right? And say, Mickey Loomis, I want you gone.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing, man. This is what people sometimes don't understand. Okay, let me take it back a little bit, right?
Go ahead.
Remember when that whole controversy happened with Brian Flores with the Miami Dolphins?
Yes.
And he blew the whistle on Stephen Ross and them trying to have like a little backdoor deal to bring Tom Brady and Sean Payton to Miami.
Yep.
Sean Payton did not talk to the Miami Dolphins. They talk through back channels. That's like, for example, Jono, if I was talking to you, right? And, you know, let's just say, for example, I'm up for a coaching job, right? And I tell you, you know what, man? I mean, I would take that job, but I ain't really cool with that GM like that. You know, like I would want to be a part of the process. If I told you that and you went back to the organization and said that, I mean, you basically saying my feelings and my viewpoint of the situation, but it gives me plausible deniability. That's what people like. People are looking at it like when Aaron Glenn was in the room, like telling Mickey Loomis, like, okay, I want you gone. He didn't say he wanted him gone. He just said that he would like for the Saints to maybe move Mickey Loomis up to that executive role and for them to have a general manager and him to be a part of the process. And this is what a lot of people didn't realize. When he went to the Jets, didn't he do the same thing? Like he was part of the general manager process. So how can you look at that and be like, oh, he did the exact same thing that I'm saying that he wanted the New Orleans Saints to do, and look at it and like, no, that ain't true. I mean, the fact of the matter is the source that told me that information is very credible in the National Football League. Like really, really credible. Like I ain't trying to cloud chase. Like I know for a fact 100% that this individual that told me this information got it from the representative of Aaron Glenn. Straight up, like somebody close to him, like really, really close to him and a part of that process. So like I said, I mean, I get it, but I understand. Like when everybody looks at people with certain names or when somebody puts information out there, the first thing they start doing is they look at how many followers they got. Yeah, they look at everything they tweet and all that kind of stuff, and they size you up. You know, like I said, I looking at based on like the followers I have, I guess like the work that I've done compared to others, it don't add up. But I'm sorry, like I have been blessed and privileged enough to interview some really great people and have traveled and, you know, covered the NFL and been to like different places and mingle with different people. And, you know, and in the process, they have given me information and they don't have to like, but they give me information that, you know, that's about the New Orleans Saints from time to time. And, you know, they give me an opportunity to share it. And, you know, that was one of those situations. And, you know, I can understand how it can make people feel, but I stand by that. And as you can see, people were saying that it wasn't, you know, accurate, but you look at the same situation that happened with Lean Cohen, it was the same situation like 2 days later. Like the same thing happened.
Talk your shit.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But I found like at first I was upset, but when I think about it, man, it just shows me how like blessed I am at the end of the day, man, to even like be in that position to have that type of information. But you know, but shouts out to everybody that follows the State of the Saints, people that follow me on Twitter that's been supportive of me, and those are the people that I do it for. I don't do it for the people that haven't really taken the time to watch the State of the Saints podcast or see the work that I've done. Man, we've had so many credible guests on the State of the Saints podcast, and I feel like if you haven't watched the State of the Saints podcast, you probably just didn't, you know, probably somewhere hating. Nah, I'm sorry, it is what it is.
There's always going to be haters, but hey, what they say, TJ, if you ain't got haters, you ain't popping. I will say, I think you having me on your show 2 years ago probably lost you a bit of credibility. So
Man, get out of here, man. Probably more credibility.
I will say, when I saw like the uproar, and a lot of times it's people always come in and saying, "Oh, he's just doing it for clout or whatever," and I'm like, look, whether TJ got the right information or not, one thing I know about him, he is not a clout chaser. He is not going to put something out there to try and get his numbers up or make himself seem like he's in the know. Like, he's putting out what he legitimately hears. Now, whether people want to choose to believe you as credible or not, that's their prerogative. But you do not do it. You do not do it for the clout. And I say that with my chest because I've gotten to know you these past 3 years now. Damn, we're getting old, TJ. 3 years now, and I've known you enough to know that you don't put yourself out there like that for a Twitter check or for I'm just trying to put myself out there so I can make a name for myself. No, you already made a name for yourself. You are putting out there what you hear, and you stand by what you put out all the time, and I appreciate that about you.
Hey, look, I challenge anybody. Like, I've done like maybe 1,500 episodes of Stay the Same podcast. Please show me the cloud chasing edition. I tell everybody all the time, Jono, like, I don't care what's going on with the New Orleans Saints. If I'm not like fully dialed in, or I don't feel like I can bring the energy, or I don't feel like I'm going to be informative, I don't do shows. I don't. Like, I feel like I owe an obligation to the people that follow the show, that support me, to make sure that I am giving them the best information, providing them the best opinion that I possibly can based on situations. Like, I take a lot of pride in the fact that I have grown a platform without selling out or selling myself short, or selling my soul in the process to be what people want me to be. And I could have done that, honestly, I could have done that, played the role, and who knows. But look, I take a lot of pride in knowing that I stayed true to myself, and that's not one of those situations, man. I don't even want to, I don't even want anybody to indicate or insinuate that that's how I roll, because I don't.
You know what is also, you say people instantly, okay, who is this guy? They look at your number of followers, they look at your resume, or et cetera, because you're not technically, you're doing a lot of traditional media stuff that gets overlooked, in my opinion, but people don't consider you traditional media because you don't work for a news station, you don't work for a newspaper, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, it's 2025, y'all. Like, there's traditional, even just new school media that's legitimate in the podcast and in the YouTube world, but that's for another discussion. I will say this, like, even if you weren't valid with your YouTube credentials or podcast credentials, people can have sources, TJ, without having to be like a reporter. Dude, I was a ball boy for the Pelicans for 13 years. I saw and heard and like legit stuff that I could have went on Twitter when I was only at 600 followers and put out something that was factually true. And people would have been like, well, who the hell is this guy? He's a guy with 600 followers, not knowing that, this guy actually has connections because he's actually in the NBA locker room, knowing these players and front office executives, et cetera, et cetera. I'm using me as an example to say that I do find it, and it's unfortunate because a lot of clout chasers do exist, right? So you are collateral to, since he doesn't work for a newspaper, but they always, look, let's be honest. They always say, well, he's not Nick Underhill. He's not even Jeff Duncan. He's not Catherine Terrell. He's not a part of the Saints media. He's not at the press conferences and all that. So he's not traditional media. So why should we listen to him? He's a clout chaser. And I'm like, no, again, TJ ain't clout chasing. He's putting out something that he is. Now, if y'all want to question that, fine, but don't question it just because he doesn't have the same pathway that a lot of these reporters of the traditional route have, or because he doesn't have the biggest number of followers or whatnot. Like, you have... Like a lot of these other people who put out news trying to clout chase, you have the credentials, in my opinion. Like, we've seen the people on your show, we've seen the events that you've covered. You're not some Joe Blow who put up a camera and yelled this shit more than the game like me. You are actually doing the work. So I get annoyed when people question your validity. Now, do I, if they want to question your source or whatever, fine. That's a part of the game. Even Schefter and Rappaport gets questioned about their sources. So that just comes with the territory. But I'm like, hey, man, don't question like the guy when his resume clearly speaks for itself. So you have a supporter in me always, TJ. I appreciate when you put out stuff like that because you're putting yourself technically on the line. And you say you do it for the people like us who support you. And I, as a content creator myself, absolutely agree with that. Like, I ain't worrying about the people who don't like me because shit, they ain't going to help me get to where I want to go anywhere. I'm feeding the people who put their trust in their engagement in me. So I hope you know, like I said earlier in this interview, bro, you have a lot of supporters compared to the ones who get on Twitter and bark at you really loud.
Look, and I completely understand to a certain extent, Jono, like, because we live in a world of the clout chase. Like, people don't care how they make it. Like, people don't care how they can be known. They just want to be known for something. Like, we see all the time, like, these different like meme Twitters and stuff like that, where people just put stuff out there and just to draw attention on themselves. And like I said, I can understand that, but that's just not my wheelhouse. Like, I don't have to do that. Like, I feel like God has blessed me with the ability to be able to sit in front of a camera and talk and be able to be insightful, enlightening. Sometimes, I like to consider myself entertaining without having to go out there and cloud chase. Like, I take a lot of pride in that. Like, I know, like, when it's all said and done, I know for a fact that I have done things the way that it should be done. And for a person that only just seen me and sized me up by, maybe some pictures that I put up or a tweet that I say and try to question my credibility that don't really know me, I'm okay with that. Because, I mean, I put in hours, what I'm saying, and a lot of sacrificing in order for me to do what I do. And so do you. So, like I say, people, like, I do it for the people that support me. Like, I never like sit up here and say you have to support me. Like, if you don't like what I'm talking about, fine. Like, I'm more about quality instead of quantity at times. Like, if that means that I have to sell myself short or have to make myself be a people pleaser just so you can stay riding with me, well, you probably don't ride with me in the first place. So I'm okay if you leave.
Preach, preach, preach. Question, TJ. So let's say that Aaron Glenn would have met his demands and that they did say, okay, we want Aaron Glenn that much that we will entertain or we will let Mickey Loomis go. Do you think if we did listen to that, he would have been our head coach, or do you think he still would have picked the Jets?
No, I think he would. No, he would have been a head coach. He would have been a head coach. He wanted, like, I know that everybody was talking about he wanted to go to the Jets. He wanted to be the head coach of the Saints.
Really?
Yeah, he wanted to be the head coach of the Saints. He wanted to come here. The stories that were coming out, it was maybe like, I want to say like right before the divisional game, and they were saying like, he was going to be the head coach of the Saints, and he was really like looking towards that way because the Saints really wanted him. Like, he was the Saints' top choice, and vice versa. So, wow. But I mean, he wanted some things to change, which I can understand that, because think about this. You've been doing the same things over and over again, same general manager, same front office practices. Like, he wanted something that was completely different. But instead, the Saints didn't want to budge. They felt like Mickey Loomis could get them out of this situation. And look who they hired. Like, I like Kellen Moore, but look where Kellen Moore came from. He kind of came from a situation similar to what the Saints are in Dallas. Like, Jerry Jones isn't going anywhere, right? I mean, so he knows like how to work with people that are going to be mainstays. I mean, he did it with Jerry Jones. So I would think that, he can do it with Mickey Loomis. But the only difference is, Mickey Loomis is going to give him, leeway. He's going to allow him to hire his own coaches and do his own thing. So in certain ways, like, Mickey Loomis isn't like Jerry Jones. So, I mean, that's a plus for Kellen Moore. At least he knows that he can hire his own guys. If he would have been in Dallas, where a lot of people thought he was going to go, he would have just been the head coach, just a figurehead, and Jerry Jones would have hired all his supporting cast around him. So, like I said, I mean, I don't know, man. Aaron Glenn, he would have been a head coach if they would have allowed him to bring in his own general manager.
That's very interesting because, Glenn is at his press conference. I mean, of course, every coach is going to say what, the smart thing is to say. He was like, I wanted this Jets job. It was my first choice. So that's very interesting to hear that Aaron Glenn had, maybe I guess the coaching search wasn't, or we're not as unattractive as a spot as led to believe, even though technically the reason why we were unattractive to Glenn is because of the Mickey Loomis. Now, does he, do you think that he, like, is it just a fact, like you said, that he wanted change, or does he like look at Mickey Loomis and say, nah, is Mickey Loomis viewed that badly, you think, in NFL circles? Because I feel like fans I get it because he tripled down on Dennis Allen, he deserves it, right? Like, Sorry, he does. But I'm also like, well, he also bought us Sean Payton and Drew Brees. I know that was 17 years ago, but I'm willing to be fair and say, okay, he had one home run, he had one strikeout. Let's see what he does now with this Kellen Moore hire. Is Mickey Loomis seen as that much of a tyrant or someone not to work with in NFL circles? Or is this just Glenn was like, I just think that a new approach and change is needed if we're going to be successful moving forward?
Well, I don't think that he's looked at negatively around NFL circles. I just think that people kind of scoff at the structure of the Saints sometimes. Like, now this I can, speak about. I was at the Celebration Bowl, watching my alma mater, Jackson State, and South Carolina State play. And I was on the sideline before the game started, and I was talking to a person that's within the NFL, and he was just talking about the New Orleans Saints. And I mean, I'm just quoting what he said. He said that the team is a mess, and he said it's kind of weird the way that the team is structured. He said they have like a mom and pop feel, like they don't want to let outsiders in. Like they don't want to let outsiders in. They kind of like lean towards like the same old status quo. And he said that's one of the reasons why they're in the situation that they're in. Like, I was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? But he didn't say anything negative towards Mickey Loomis. He was speaking mostly like how the Saints organization they got that circle. And and sometimes, man, when you have that circle, you create this echo chamber. And when you have a bunch of people that think the same way in certain cases, same practices, same old thing, same old song and dance, like it's hard to be able to see where you need to change. And I think that was one of the main reasons why it took them so long to come to grips with Dennis Allen, because, they wasn't really paying attention to that. I mean, you can't always pay attention to what the outside is saying, but you also have to look within yourself and look within your organization and seeing if you're going in the right direction. But yeah, that's the reputation based on what I've heard. Is just the fact that everything just so close knit. Like they don't like to let people that's not a part of that circle in there. And
that, boy, because I called them a mom and pop shop so many times, so I feel validated with that. That is fine. You can run like that when you got that Drew Brees and Sean Payton aura protecting you. When you got Dennis Allen as the guy that you're stubbornly betting on, well, the house of cards collapses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to see, because technically we're still doing the same. I mean, it's not like our system changed, or of how we have the front office structure. We just got a new head coach who the fans are excited about. God, now that you say that, I hope that Kellen Moore works out and he has that Sean Payton like impact that we can get by with how we run our organization. Because I absolutely agree, just from an outside perspective, of how this organization is ran like a mom and pop shop. And it's fine, again, when you got a Drew Brees and Sean Payton who can mask all of the deficiencies that come with that. But when you got someone like Dennis Allen who, instead of putting a Band-Aid over the wounds, he actually cuts it even deeper, then you are seeing the way you are seeing. It's going to be interesting, TJ. So even though you said all that, like you said, you're excited about Kellen Moore. So you think that we have a shot to still be contenders in a few years, even with all the things you just said about Mickey Loomis? You think Kellen Moore has the potential to get us out of this rut that we're in?
Yeah, I think he does, man. And I think that Saints fans need to hope that he can, because look, I said this also over the last 2 to 3 years. Like, Mickey Loomis has had end of the year press conferences, but nobody cared. Like, nobody, like, man, I can't wait to see what Mickey Loomis has to say. Like, nobody cared. Like, but since the Saints have been kind of down, like, it's been the most anticipated press conference of the year. Like, like, think about this, man. Like, people still talking about when he, spoke to the media chewing gum.
True.
And, and I mean, so many different sound bites that are not positive that came out of it. Like, I don't want to hear what Mickey Loomis has to say. Like, respectfully, I don't want to hear what he has to say. I like going back to the days where he basically just said a lot without saying anything at all. I mean, I think that, to me, for somebody to talk as long as he does and say absolutely nothing, like that is nah, I'm serious, man. That is like, man, that's a work of art right there, man, to talk and say a lot without saying anything at all. I never seen anybody that talk as long and don't show their hand like Mickey Loomis can. So I just hope that Kellen Moore can work out That way, Mickey Loomis can kind of just go back to being that guy. Like, I don't like looking at Mickey Loomis the way that he's been looked at over the last couple of years. Like, think about it. Like, people used to like look at Mickey Loomis in such a high regard. Oh, he's a cap wizard. You know, we had, you know, that meme where they got the matrix numbers in the background and they got a picture. Like, people were like looking at him like, man, this dude here, like the creme de la creme. Now he's like, you know, a walking, talking meme, a joke. I don't want him to be like that, especially when we know that he's not going anywhere. So I just hope that he pans out. I'm talking Kellen Moore. That way we can go back to just listening to Mickey Loomis and not really absorbing everything that he says and just following everything he says with a fine-tooth comb here. So hopefully Kellen Moore can work out.
This is a fascinating conversation, TJ. This is why you have the audience you have. Just an absolutely fascinating conversation. I've learned so much from this conversation, but also things that I feel validated about and things that make me probably have to rethink a bit. I appreciate your input, man. I absolutely appreciate your input. We need to do this more often, to be honest, because, I mean, after what will likely be, as you say, one of the most important off seasons of all time, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussion to be had after free agency and after the draft as we head into the 2025 season. So,
you about to return a favor, man. John O'Barnes is
I'm
going
not
to
wait to the end. I'm gonna wait to the end.
Come on, man. You
If you're a WWE fan, you got to tease that at the end. You know, like,
okay, we're going to. Okay, look, man. They already know, man. Come
but on. I will say this: you're not leaving just yet. You are not leaving just yet because we don't bring people on the John O'Barnes show just to talk Saints. I mean, we enjoy doing that, but then we want to have a little fun too. So, TJ, you are now officially entering the This Shit More Than a Game layer of the John O'Barnes show. Are you ready, my guy?
Hey, man, I'm ready, man. Fire away.
I got one. I bet you wasn't prepared for this. A lot of fans, they want to know about your sources and they want to know about your input on the 2025 Saints. But one thing that they really want to know, TJ, is when will you bring the long hair back? Okay. Okay. TJ Jones. Please say the Jones. Huh? Please say the Jones. What's up, TJ? What's up with that? Is your Lil Wayne ever? What's good? What's good with that?
Hey, man, look, that was during a time when, I was staying in Dallas, Texas. It was right after I graduated from Jackson State. I went out to Dallas to, to go to grad school. And, man, I couldn't find no barber, man. Like, I couldn't find no barber that I was just happy with, man. So I was like, man, me just, my hair started to grow, man. I was like, let me go ahead and try to twist this joint out. So, I just started to stay consistent to it, man. I had dreads for like 8 years. Like, and on my 30th birthday, I cut them off, man. But look, I enjoyed having them, man. But I don't think I'm gonna get them back, man. My wife, for like some apparent reason, she don't like my hair long. I tried to do it again, and she was just like, nah, I just don't like it. So I gotta keep the wife happy. Happy wife, happy life.
So it lives in the throwback archives forever, but we'll never see long hair TJ again, huh?
All that Bluetooth around my neck again, hopefully.
That's how you can date photos sometimes, by the equipment you have around you. Now, TJ, don't be like, shy or anything about that, though, because I don't know if you know, but my brother, I was also in the long hair club, okay? So, hey, we don't with that. And sometimes I'm also like entertaining. Hey, maybe I want to grow my hair out one last time, especially now that I got a full beard to see how it looks with a full beard. But like you, my wife is like, nope, I'm good with the short hair now. So
what is it about that, man? Why they don't want us to have long hair, man? I
think it's jealousy. I mean, look at these wonderful golden locks of ours, TJ. I think their wives get a little bit jealous, man.
Man, I don't know, man. Hey, but I enjoyed it, man. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I enjoyed having long hair during that time. But that was them wild days, man. That was club every Saturday night.
Hey, don't put too much on that. We're at the family channel, okay?
hey, I'm just saying, like for real, that was it.
Man, say Texas with the long hair during the Lil Wayne era. Oh, I already know. Hey. You ain't even got to say anything, TJ. Let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. TJ, me and you've been texting about this, so I'm gonna ask this, even though I already know you know the answer. But brother, do you know that WrestleMania is coming to the city of New Orleans?
Yeah, man.
Well, here's my question for you. We like to ask usually on our show our guests their Mount Rushmore or something that's of meaning to them. From our 3-year friendship and from your tweets, I know that you are a very big wrestling fan. So I'm going to ask you, TJ, to give me your wrestling Mount Rushmore.
Okay. All right. So this is pretty simple. All right. I would put Stone Cold Steve Austin up there. I mean, that goes without saying. Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, basically was the Attitude Era. I would also put I'll put The Rock up there as well.
I love The Rock.
I'll put The Rock up there. I will also put, because I'm really into like in-ring technicians. You know, Kurt Angle would be on my Mount Rushmore. Like I just love Kurt Angle, man. I mean, had so many classics with Shawn Michaels. I know his name is frowned upon, but like Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, you know, those are guys that like, I mean, he had like bangers with, man. And also Brock Lesnar. But number one, this is my favorite wrestler of all time, Eddie Guerrero, man. Eddie Guerrero, like, to me, like, I don't think I ever seen a wrestler that can make you love him and hate him like Eddie Guerrero could. Like, when he was a fan favorite, you loved him. But when he was like a despicable heel, like, you hated him, you despised him. And I just feel like that's kind of a lost art. One of my great favorite matches of all time was him and Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc 1998. Greatest match of all time, in my opinion. And there'll never be another Eddie Guerrero. They've been trying to find that next Mexican superstar. They haven't found him, man. And Eddie Guerrero has been going, man, almost 20 years. That's unbelievable.
Wow, yeah. Rest in peace to the icon Eddie Guerrero. That's ahead of a Mount Rushmore. Stone Cold, The Rock, who are my two favorite wrestlers of all time. Then you got the Wrestling Machines and Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero. That's ahead of a Mount Rushmore. TJ, we gonna both be in the building for WrestleMania, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Look, I always say
absolutely.
I don't know if you see ticket prices for WrestleMania 41 in Vegas, so you might want to start saving now or take your wife's credit card while you can, because it ain't gonna be cheap, TJ. But we will be in the building for that. I'm excited, though. You know, just the honor of us having the third WrestleMania in 11 years that's why this shit moved in the city, right? It's New Orleans, man.
I got a funny story about WrestleMania, like the last WrestleMania that I went to, and it was down in New Orleans.
It's the John O'Bone show. Let that story out,
man. Okay, so this was during the time like when I was first like dating my wife. We went down to like WrestleMania. Like, she's not a real big wrestling fan, but she went down there with me. We go to the Superdome, and you know, we watched the WrestleMania, and we go back to our Airbnb. We were supposed to leave out at 4 a.m, because at the time, I drove, and it was like an 11-hour drive. I'm looking for my keys. I left my keys in the Superdome.
Wow.
Didn't know. Like, and man, I was calling like the Superdome all day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause it's like, man, I'm trying to get up in there, and it was like, man, we got to clean up. We gonna have them in the lost and found. So finally, like, I end up going into the Superdome, and this nice lady, Miss Crawford, I'll never forget. She allowed me to go to my seat and be able to like look and see if my keys were there. They was right underneath the seat. That's when I knew for a fact. I was like, this woman really loved me, man. Cause ain't no, like, we was like in the early stages of like dating. Like, I mean, imagine how they, I was just thinking like, man, I ain't never gonna get another, like, we gonna break up after this. Yeah, man, like, yeah, I lost my keys in the Superdome, man. And yeah, that was
I always
crazy.
say one of the worst feelings in the world is like when you lose something of importance, like a wallet or your keys, and then one of the best feelings in the world is when you have that relief. Oh shit, I found it. And nothing.
Oh man,
I can imagine how you probably popped more at that time when you found your keys than when.
Oh man, I was so happy.
The WrestleMania entrance actually happened. Well, I'm glad you found your keys, because it led to you and your wife having a much longer relationship.
Exactly.
Let's give a shout out to my guy Easy E, another big wrestling fan, who leaves a $2 super chat. He says his wrestling Mount Rushmore is Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, just like yours, TJ, The Undertaker, and someone who will likely be wrestling next year in the Superdome, Roman Reigns. That's a hell of a Mount Rushmore as well, Easy E. Shout out to Roman Reigns for making himself a valuable candidate of a Mount Rushmore these past 5 years, because before then I was like, man, that Roman Reigns era failed miserably, but he turned into the tribal chief and gave us some of the best wrestling storylines of the past 5 years going on now. So great list, Easy, and I know we're gonna be seeing you in the Superdome as well. TJ, maybe we'll have you doing some theme music for one of the wrestlers at WrestleMania. Maybe for Ricky Saint now. His name is Ricky Saints now. Maybe
yeah, man.
He might need some good theme music, because they don't know this about you, TJ. The ones who ain't true to the State of the Saints podcast and might be just new to the State of the Saints podcast. My God, you are a talented musician. You are a talented. And before I let you go, before I let you talk about that, Ladies and gentlemen, a special prize and a special gift for you guys. We are going to play some of TJ Jones's greatest hits right about now.
$100 million lemon, wasting everybody's time. The hood and nations getting hot. It's car time to no, I think not. This is insane, and it just don't feel right. Mickey, you think with food. Come on, bro, do what you got to do. We're over this dude, 'cause we're not winning games no more. We're not even trying to contain. I think the spark is went away since TJay start coaching our game. And well, all your friends, please tell your friends that Atlanta missed the playoffs again. I know the Saints are on the couch, but they got friends. Tell all your friends, please tell all your friends that Atlanta missed the playoffs again. Atlanta missed the playoffs again. Please tell all of your friends that the Atlanta Falcons missed the playoffs again.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for TJ Vandross. Come on now. That boy can sing. That boy can sing. Look at the comments, TJ. Everybody is a fan, man. Well, I got, bruh. One, I actually think you have a pretty good voice. Like I really do. I think you have a pretty good voice. That Falcon song was a classic, bro. Me and my co-host Ziggy was singing it all that week. Oh, yeah, friend. Love it. TJ, how long does it take you to make songs like that?
Look, I'm not trying to brag or boast, but it don't take me long. Like,
wow.
No, it doesn't take me long. Like, the thing about it is, I work maybe 45 minutes from my house. So I get a lot of time in the car, and it gives me a lot of time to think. And as I'm thinking, man, I just think about like different songs because, of course, you know, my day job, I'm a radio DJ. And, you know, like the song just pop in my head. Like, I wish I could just tell people like how I do it. Like, I don't. Like, a song would just pop in my head. And all of a sudden, like, I was like, okay, I can take this part of the verse and like and add this. Like, I don't know. I really don't. But you know, I think I have to give a shout out to my mom. My mom is a poet, and she's written songs like when I was growing up as a kid. And I just think that that's a part of me that I got from her. But it's all in fun, man. I know people be wanting me to like, you know, sound like I'm on American Idol, but I always just say like, how funny would it be if I was just sitting up there like singing like for real? Like, so I just try to like bring a little bit of comedy to it. And, you know, people that follow the show, they enjoy it. So that's all that matters to me.
I love it. Like, you know me, of course, I'm in that comedy entertainment spectrum. So I'm impressed. Like, if it takes you that short, like you just coming, you know, from work and the lyrics come in your head, that's impressive, my guy. And I love, again, that Falcons one. I love that you piss off the Falcons fans too, by the way. Like,
oh man, that's
a highlight. I think
highlight
on Twitter, I'm like the Bucks. I'm Saints fan, enemy number one on Twitter for the Bucks fan base, which I take that with a lot of pride. But I seen like this past year, like you became enemy number one to the Falcons fan base. And I was like, damn, I'm jealous of TJ because I've been trying to get the Falcons fan base attention on Twitter for the past 3 years. And I want them to hate me because I hate them. So I want them to hate me. And oh man, they were ragging you all season, TJ, like especially when they were winning, you know, like they were ragging you. And you kept saying, I come on my show and I say, one thing about the Falcons gonna Falcon. You was on your show on Twitter saying, patience, y'all get y'all jokes off now, but y'all gonna find a way to choke it, and they absolutely did. And I noticed, TJ, once the rug was swept from under them, boy, your engagement from your Falcons tweets went down and down and down. You used to get like 100, 200 people commenting on your Falcons tweets. Then suddenly you only had like 5 or 7. It's funny how that works out, huh?
It's amazing.
It's just like my YouTube show. When the Falcons were winning earlier this year, bro, I had Falcons fans. Oh, they my show. It's a Falcons show now, Jono. But as soon as we beat them, As soon as we beat them with Darren Rizzi, as soon as they went on that 5-game losing streak, boy, the numbers went down. I'm like, how does that work out, huh? See, one thing about us, me and you and the fellow Saints fans and this shit more than the game community and the Who Dat Nation is that we show up rain or shine when the Saints are good and when the Saints are bad. You know, Falcons fans, I say they like mice. TJay, when they see cheese, they come out for the cheese when the cheese is out in front invisible. But boy, when that mouse trap goes off, they go hide back into their little mouse hole, man. So I appreciate the hell that you are public enemy number one to the Falcons fans on Twitter and that you're going to continue to rag on that trash ass fan base.
Man, that's the reason why I do it though, Jono. Like people like, man, you don't talk about the Bucks, you don't talk about Carolina like that. It's because I don't see that type of energy from them. Like they real about it. Like if you talk, like I stay 3 hours from Charlotte, I'm in South Carolina, so I meet my fair share of Panthers fans. If they stink, they ain't gonna just be sitting up there talking about, oh man, y'all suck. They gonna like be like, man, we got some work to do. We need to build on this. Tampa, you know, they've been winning, so ain't too much been talking about, and we kind of know what that's all about anyway. They just got new fan last week. I mean, some of these jerseys ain't even been through the first wash yet. But the Falcons, to me, they one of the most, I like to call frosted, flaky fan bases that you ever going to see in your entire life. Like they are so conditional to their loyalty to this fan, to their team, to it's unbelievable. Like they have no shame about it, like none. Like if you go on their page, there will be absolutely nothing about the Falcons or I believe in this team or nothing. But when they start winning, they looking for Saints pages to try to infiltrate. I just want them to keep that same energy. If they kept that same energy, maybe I have some respect, Jono, but I don't have any respect for a fan base that's not loyal to their team. Like you got to take the good with the good and the bad with the bad, man. Show up and show out regardless.
I'll peel back the curtain. I love that the Saints and the Falcons are rivals. I love the rivalry. I'm very grateful that they are because they set the floor so low for us that we have been skating on this one Super Bowl since 2009, and they still haven't caught up. So we still got that over them. And there's some cool Falcons fans. I'm sure you've run into some cool Falcons.
Oh, yeah.
You share a podcast with one.
Yeah, shout out to my boy Smitty, man. Yeah, I talk to Smitty every day, man. Like that's my guy. That's my guy, man.
What I don't. Again, like on my show, like I have some Falcons fans who stayed on who I appreciate. Like there's one right now, Red Swan. I give Red Swan credit. He was on the show.
That's my guy. That's
talking
my guy
that,
too,
on the show talking that shit, but also on the show when Danes fell apart. There were so many that come on when they beat us or when they swag surfing all over the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I'm like, just keep the same energy. Like one, me and TJay, we go into entertainment mode when it comes to the rivalry. So we're not like, it's not personal. Like we're having fun with it. So why can't y'all keep that same energy when y'all losing? And then again, on Twitter in September and October, bro, you were getting racial. Like they were on your ass, dude. They were, and I was jealous. I was like, shit, I want the Falcons fans to be on my, no homo. I want the Falcons fans to be on my ass. Like I want them to be like, see me as a troll or whatever. I'm asking for it. And then November, December, bro, nowhere to be found. Like the same ones calling, oh, we'll see you in December, TJay. We gonna bookmark this. And I tweeted you like 3 times this season in the winter saying, hey, TJay, it's kind of funny how, you know, I'm the only one commenting on this tweet right now. When if this was in September, you'd have had 50 Falcons fans in your replies right now. I just want them to keep the same energy, bro. I just want them to keep the same energy the same way Red Swamp keeps that energy. This is all we're asking for Falcons fans to keep that same energy. I know you're going to have some elite Falcons songs this upcoming season.
Oh, man.
Absolutely. You're entertaining. You are very, very talented. I am aghast that you make these songs you say literally in like a 45-minute window in your head. You like Lil Wayne in his prime, huh? You ain't even got to write it down. Just top of your head. Hey, turn that microphone on. I'm about to spit some hot fire. TJay, you are very entertaining, my guy.
I won't say I don't write it down. You know what I'm saying? But like, you get what I'm saying? Like, like once I get the song and the beat and stuff like that, it really doesn't take me long because. Here's the thing, Jono, when you got shows like yours and you got social media, like you can kind of understand the pulse of the Who Dat Nation. So you know how they feel. So I automatically go into like the songs knowing how Saints fans feel about certain situations, rather it be Dennis Allen or Derek Carr. So it makes it very, very easy. So it's just a matter of kind of putting things together to like let it rhyme and let it flow. But, you know, I enjoy doing it, man.
Well, from me and the fellow Who Dat Nation, we hope you do it until your dying day, TJay, because we need that passion. We need that this shit more than a game energy. Let me tell you, TJ, why you are this shit more than a game certified. It's not because you built an amazing platform with the State of the Saints podcast. It's not because you and I have become great friends over the past 3 years. It's not because you, as we saw by your resume, you were doing the damn thing from a non-traditional standpoint to create the name that you have. But you are this shit more than a game certified, TJ, because this is one of the things that I absolutely love seeing about social media when I get to know people is you are now the head coach of your son's flag football team. And that is just hell yeah, let's get the applause for that. That is some amazing stuff that, as you know, TJ, I'm about to be a father in about 5 months now. So moments like that I see and I'm inspired by it. I'm like, I can't wait till maybe I'm coaching my son's fantasy flag football team, or at least in the audience saying, get my son a goddamn ball, even if he's good or not. I love seeing that, TJ. TJ, is this the start of something long term, though? You have any interest in possibly saying, hey, I like this coaching thing. I might want to go and do it in high school and then maybe in college and then maybe you never know in the professional. You got the networking already. Is coaching something that you're actually interested in as an actual full-time position, or is this just you wanting to spend some great time with your kids and the fellow kids in your community?
Man, honestly, this was just a opportunity, man. The coach that was on this team ended up going out of town, and he asked me like to coach the game, and it was just supposed to be like a one-time thing, man. And the kids, were out there, man. They were giving it their all, and I just was hooked, man. And also just the combination of working with my son in the backyard and just trying to build up his confidence and trying to teach him how to do certain things. I mean, I love it, man. Man, that young kid that that I was high-fiving on that picture there, man. I mean, man, this kid like goes out there and gives everything that he has, man. Like he never wants to leave the field. Like he's always trying to find ways of getting better. After the game, like they end up like losing the game, and he was just so emotional, man, because he gave everything he had. And it just, being able to help a kid and help build character, and also just to be able to spend time with my son, man. Anybody like know the State of the Saints, like they know my son. He's always around. He's always wants to be around me. And John, I'm telling you, like when you become a parent, man, it's like one of the greatest honors you can ever have in your life, man. I have been blessed to do some amazing things. Nothing has trumped two things in my life: marrying my wife and being a father to my son. Like I just love it, man. And it's so great just to watch him go out there and play, and just try to build up character from those young guys, man. So right now, I'll definitely want to do this, for the foreseeable future, man. I don't know, like on a high school or college level, but if it gets to that point and I start to enjoy it, why not? I mean, I think I can do it.
TJ, I love it. Another round of applause for you, man. You are, TJ, this shit more than a game certified. And I must say, though, I did see the clips of your kid running in the backyard with you. And he does have some of that Derrick Henry in him. So even though this is a sentimental moment, I will be checking for you in about 9-10 years to see if that guy can put on the black and gold and lead us to a Super Bowl. Okay.
That'll be unbelievable. That'll be unbelievable. That'll be unbelievable if that happened, man. But look, we just trying to get him focused, man, on running the right way. He think he Reggie Bush right now. But unfortunately, he running in the wrong direction. You know what I'm saying? He running back, you know what I'm saying, to try to go forward.
Running backward sometimes it works. You just got to make sure you grow into how you can be.
But he learning how to carry that football, man. I'm proud of him, man. Like
awesome.
Like to me, it's not about being great. It's just about giving effort, man. And he wants to do it. You know what I'm saying? And that motivates me to want to help him to be better. So. Like I said, man, I love my son, man. You clinging to my heartstring right now, man. Talking about that
TJ,
little
I love it. TJ, you and your son are this shit more than the game certified. TJ, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody already knows who's watching, but let everybody know where they can follow you across all multiple platforms.
Well, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast, so that you can check that out on YouTube.com. Search the State of the Saints podcast. But look, Jono, I just appreciate being on the show, man. Like people they can. I was interviewing Ross Jackson the other day, And he basically echoed the sentiments, man. Like I'm just privileged to be here on the show, man. I'm not here to try to plug anything. Like, if you find a podcast, you can find it. But I'm just happy to have this opportunity, man. Like you mentioned, we developed a friendship. Next time you come to Myrtle Beach, you better hit your boy up. I can't believe.
Facts.
Like we was pretty early in the friendship, but like, man,
Right.
next time you come to like Myrtle Beach, man, like you better hit your boy up, man.
Facts.
And,
No.
yeah, so we can hang out. But I just appreciate the opportunity, man, and thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, TJay. And now we can reveal. I know that you say everybody knows. I don't care about that. Now we can reveal. Folks, this is not just a one-off episode. This is actually a crossover. Because now I will be going on the State of the Saints podcast, which I'm very much looking forward to. So make sure y'all stay tuned for that. It's happening after Mardi Gras. Like I said earlier in the show, y'all, it's officially Mardi Gras time. TJay don't want me on the show right now during Mardi Gras season because he gonna be like, oh, yeah. After Mardi Gras, guys, John O'Barnes will be on the State of the Saints podcast, and TJay and I linked up together to say, let's give them a nice little crossover episode during the dog days, I guess, of the off season. So I cannot wait, TJay, to be on the State of the Saints podcast after Mardi Gras. But can you tell everybody tonight, TJay Jones, why you joined the John O'Barnes show?
Because this shit is more than a game.
Oh, hell yeah. Y'all go follow my guy, TJay Jones, baby.
Oh, you guys want this one? Do you want the beats? Almost had it. Gotta be quicker than that. Louder, I can't hear you. You want the beat? Who wants my beat? What? Ow! I right bang! Shit! Hey! Ow, sure! Hey man, come on! Trying out for the Saints! Woo! Woo! Woo!
Is he okay?
How long this floor gonna be standing here for? Hey man, chill, it's a family parade. Hey man, you ain't even gotta throw it no more, don't worry about it. It's not even that good of a beat. No. Now to hell with this. That was a classic. Mardi Gras season, y'all. It's officially here. I mean, it's already been here for the past 2 months. If you know, you know. But like, we're in deep Gras now, as they say. I appreciate all of you guys. I'll see all of y'all to my, I guess. Well, I mean, they don't always mirror, so I hate like when I say, "Oh, I see y'all to my right," and then I watch the replay, and it's to my left. But either way, I saw y'all again and down in the chat. Shout out to my guy Brute Saint for the $20 super chat earlier, and my guy Easy E for his super chat as well. And thank you guys, man. Shout out to TJay. This TJay stimulus is real. Over 300 plus people right now across all platforms who tuned in to watch the John O'Barnes show tonight. I promised you guys at the end of the last season that I was going to work my butt out with my networks to give you guys entertaining content throughout this whole off season. And I hopefully am being a man of my word so far. We're going to have more guests on the John O'Barnes show in the upcoming weeks. So you guys definitely want to stay tuned for that. But in the short term, I hope you guys check out when I joined the State of the Saints podcast after Mardi Gras. because John Bones is officially about to get a little wild now. Now that my weekly podcast obligations are fulfilled for this week. But after Mardi Gras, I will be joining TJay on his great State of the Saints podcast. And, we're going to cross over and flip the script a little bit where TJay is going to be asking me questions about the Saints. And Lord knows whatever TJay might want to get his get back after I posted I posted this on the show tonight. So, again, man, round of applause for TJay. Just a great guy doing great things. I am transparently jealous of the numbers that he does on his stream every time he goes live to talk New Orleans Saints. But I'm very grateful to have his friendship and being a colleague of his now for the past 3 years. So we appreciate him taking time out of his busy schedule to come chop it up on the John Bones Show. He says some very, very insightful stuff. And whether you agree with it, whether you don't, whether you're a fan of his or whether you're not, you can't help but at least acknowledge that man stands 10 toes down on everything that he puts out there and says. And that's something that if you are this shit more than the game certified, you can appreciate. So I thank TJay. I thank you all because I know how excited you guys were for me and TJay to finally link up on my show to talk New Orleans Saints and other shenanigans that we talked about tonight. I appreciate every single one of you guys. If you guys are going to Mardi Gras, please be safe. Have a good time. Call the designated driver if you drink too much. I promise you that $70, $80 Uber or Lyft charge is much, much, much more reasonable than a night in jail. So please do that. If you still want to get a little frisky, you have a little bit of time. You might not have it before Tuesday, unfortunately, at this point, but you never know. Crazier things have happened. You can get a This Shit More Than the Game or a This Shit More Than a Tuesday shirt at www.journalbarnes.com or thisshitmorethanthegame.com. You can even get it for next year, right? Like, it's not like you can only have it for one specific day or one specific Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is going to come around next year, right? Last I checked, it comes every year. So these shirts are going back into the archive in 1 week. So this is your last chance, essentially, to get a This Shit More Than the Game Mardi Gras shirt before they go out of sale. And I also want to give a This Shit More Than a thanks to everybody who left a super chat last week, including Bruce Saint, y'all's favorite moderator and producer, Ziggy, who I see in the chat right now. Ziggy, we appreciate you always coming in, even though you're busy right now trying to get your schooling and all that handled this off season. But we appreciate you always coming in the chat and still showing your face, probably saying, you tried telling us, huh, Ziggy? You tried telling us. And of course, Red Swan, one of the few Falcons fans who all TJay and me asks keeps the same energy when they're losing as when they are winning. I appreciate all of you guys. Again, I hope you guys, if you attend, have a great Mardi Gras. I will. If you see me on the street, say hi, but don't go reporting my activities on social media, okay? All right? If you know, you know. And there will likely be no John Bones show next week because I will be in Mardi Gras mode. Of course, next Tuesday is Mardi Gras, so it definitely won't be on the show on the Tuesday. But, I'm going to need that Wednesday and Thursday and Friday to recover, So we'll probably be back in about 2 weeks. But I promise we're going to continue to have great guests. We're going to continue to have great content. The John Bones channel on YouTube is still going to be active. We're going to have a lot of videos and skits and stuff that comes from Mardi Gras and beyond. So make sure if you're new to the channel, of the 300 plus people who are watching right now, because the great TJ Jones was on, that you not only hit that like button right now, but you hit that subscribe button for a gumbo pot of content that only the This Shit More Than the Game certified can bring. And again, you guys have a great and safe and amazing and epic, but not too epic. We all know sometimes having a too epic Mardi Gras can lead to some crazy stuff. But have a happy Mardi Gras. And always remember, it is shit more than a Tuesday.
Juno.